Hey guys, so I finally got that new Ryzen 3 1200. Everyone's been what? The Ryzen 3 1200 AF, the one that everyone posted a review about yesterday. Ryzen 3 3100? No, the 1200 AF. You know, it's coming out at the end of the month. We had to order it from the Czech Republic. The wrong one. Ah. Oh, okay. So we don't have a 3100 for review. Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Now, as you can tell from that terrible acting, I don't have a Ryzen 3 3100 or 3300X for review. What I do have, however, is the start to a pretty cool, decent budget gaming PC that features the new Ryzen 3 1200 AF. Now, just like the Ryzen 5 1600, which got the 12nm AF refresh a few months ago, the same thing has been applied to the Ryzen 3 1200. It's now available in an AF variant, and it is a 12nm part, as opposed to the original 14nm part that launched in 2017 for about $100 or pounds. This one, however, is available for half of that price, and I found it on Outser for £52. After shipping, it came to about $63-64, so it is still cheaper than the new offerings from AMD. Those, however, will offer a nice performance increase over this chip, but what I wanted to do today was actually see how the new Ryzen 3 1200 AF, which is unfortunately only available on certain markets, compares to the original Ryzen 3 1200 or 1200 AE. These numbers are based on the codes on the box. It will either say AE box or AF box, and that's how you can tell them apart at first glance. So as I was saying before, the 1200 AF is available in a few select markets, but just in case any of you are able to get your hands on one, I wanted to make this comparison video. So we're going to be touching on performance today. It's sort of a sneak preview because I am putting together a build featuring this chip, and hopefully when the 3100 and 3300X are available here in the UK, I want to put together an entry-level gaming machine using one of those as well. Though I say entry-level, but it's clear from the reviews I've seen that they outperform, or at least the 3300X outperforms a 7700K in some scenarios, which is just insane. But anyway, back to the subject at hand, and this is a sneak preview of the Ryzen 3 1200 AF's performance in comparison to the original chip. So I only ran a few tests today, and initially I was only going to run game tests, but I decided to throw a Cinebench R20 result in here. Immediately you can see that the Ryzen 3 1200 AF does do a slightly better job, though as I sit and take a look at some of those Ryzen 3100 articles that came out yesterday, I'm starting to think that this chip is pointless. But you have to remember that this is simply a replacement in some ways for the original Ryzen 3 1200. AMD have just moved it to 12nm. They're not exactly promoting this chip as something you should buy right now. It's just a replacement for the original. And in that respect, if you are looking at Ryzen 3 1200s, you have £50, $50, €50 to spend, then you probably will end up with the better version, providing it comes to more markets down the line. So this is only a positive thing, even if it isn't necessarily completely worth it at the moment, but we'll talk a little more about that at the end. I was pleased to see that the games that I tested did show some improvements, and as we move to the Red Dead Redemption 2 gameplay, our frame rate was actually pushed over 60 on average before. With the Ryzen 3 1200 it was hovering just below that, and it was in fact this newer chip that pushed us over that line. So if you insist on 60 frames per second, then this would be the better option. So at this point I thought back to the days of 2017 when I had the original Ryzen 3 1200 in my system, and one of the games that I had trouble with primarily was Assassin's Creed Origins. Now with the Ryzen 3 1200 there was a problem with stutter, simply because of the 4 cores and 4 threads. This was probably one of the first games that I remember really making good use of 6 cores, and it's partly why I decided to upgrade to the Ryzen 5 in the first place. Now if we take a look back at that game and compare the results from the original Ryzen 3 to the 1200 AF, then again there is a slight frame rate improvement, but the stutter does still remain to some extent, and that's primarily because we do still have 4 cores and 4 threads. Though as I said before, This is simply a chip that replaces the original Ryzen 3 1200. It's not necessarily something you should go out and buy considering the new options, but if you do come across one of these, any Ryzen 3 1200 that is, then it's likely that this will be the one you start to see more of as some shops get it back in stock if they choose to do so. It is still in limited markets from what I can see. Now what I do like about it is that AMD are still focusing on that lower end price point. I know we have the Ryzen 3 3100 and 3300X now. Those are about £100 and £120 or dollars respectively. So I'm glad that for £50 or £60, dollars or euros or whatever your respective currency, there is still something even lower end than the 3100. But you also have to consider what else exists. I mean, you've got the 2400G, the 3400G APUs. How do they perform in comparison? You've got the Ryzen 5 1600 AF, which admittedly is just as hard to find as the Ryzen 3 1200 AF now. So all of these things should be considered. The availability where you live as well, and even reviewing or sort of partly reviewing this chip doesn't make much sense for me. I'm sure not many people are actually going to watch this and go out and get one of these chips, but it is out there and it does make an improvement over the original one. But I mean, that's all I can really say about it. There are a few more videos out there. I don't think many of them are in English, to be honest, but there are a couple of Ryzen 3 1200 AF videos out there if you want to check those out. But all that's left to say now is thank you very much for watching. This has been a brief look at the Ryzen 3 1200 AF. It is better than the original, and that's all I can really say in terms of a conclusion. So thank you. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, leave a dislike if you didn't. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and hopefully I'll see all of you in the next one.